Hey guys, I am Jay, and this is Football Talk. In this one, I will be reacting to more big news revealed for EA College Football 25. Oh my goodness, I am super excited for this. Did not know that this was going to come out, especially on the Sunday. He normally uploads like during the week, so this has got to be some very exciting news. Man, oh man, I cannot wait to react to this. Without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Exciting news about the upcoming EA Sports College Football 25 video game that's coming out this summer. Now, for those of you that have been around this channel for the past couple of years, you know I've kept you up to date with every leak, rumor, and official news surrounding this game. And as we're about 3 months away from release, we're going to start to get a lot more news soon. But every week or so, we get a little bit more information, whether it's a leak, whether it's anything official from EA, or people that are involved with the game speaking about it. We've been getting a lot of tidbits over the past few months, every week or so. And next month, we're set to get the big reveal from EA themselves, which should be pretty exciting.
It is next month.
Quite
Damn.
a few bits of news that leaked
Time
out
go
from
by
different
so
sources,
fast.
so I've kind of rounded them all up, and I'm going to get you guys caught up to speed. Now, if you are new to the channel and you never want to miss out on any of the future updates with this game, especially next month when we're going to start seeing gameplay and things like that, make sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon on so you never miss any of these videos when they go live. Also, I'm going to be doing a big giveaway for this game when it drops, giving away copies for both systems, so make sure to follow me on my social media accounts because that's where I will be doing the giveaways when the game goes live this summer. Now, Now, the first exciting bit of news that leaked earlier this week was Dov Kleiman, a very popular NFL Twitter account. I don't really know how he's affiliated or things like that, but he is a very big, large account. They usually post rumors and leaks and stuff like that.
I've never heard that
Sometimes
Twitter
he
account.
tends to be right about these things, and he said that the College Football 25 game is expected to come out on July 19th. Now, keep in mind, EA has not put out an official release date yet. We should get that official release date next month when they do the big reveal for the game.
So take it with like a little bit of a grain of salt.
Gameplay and in-game images and breaking down some of the features. We should get the official release date then. However, July 19th was
I hope they show like some
one of
behind the scene
two
footage.
possible dates for this game. If you go back in history with NCAA football, it usually drops the second or third week of July. Now, granted, it hasn't been out in a long time, but we already know that they said July is the month that it's going to come out, just like it used to back in the day. And it really only makes sense to drop it during the second or third week of July because you do want to leave a little bit of room before Madden comes out, at least a month to 6 weeks, and usually Madden
that's
comes
true.
out during the third or fourth week of August, so it would make sense that it would be one of those two dates. Now, we did hear that July 12th was a possible release date months ago, and like I said back then, if it's not the 12th, it'll be the 19th, and now the current rumor going around from a lot of people in the know is that July 19th is going to be the date, but again, it's not 100% official yet, but it does kind of make sense. So
things could change.
Game, which does mean if EA some type of an early EA play trial
in the gaming space, dates change all the time. But the 19th, I like that.
Which they've done
if it comes out true.
That means the week before, which would be July 12th, we might get an early version of the game to be able to play on EA Play for like a certain amount of hours. So that is also possible.
Yeah, don't they do that with Madden, if I'm not mistaken?
If you're into sports and you want to try to win some money, then you've got to be on Underdog Fantasy playing. Shortly after that, Matt Brown put out some more leaks and updates surrounding this game, and if you've been around my channel for a while, you've heard of Matt Brown. He's been the #1 most reliable source for this game over the past couple of years. He's gotten a lot of info from schools and
I follow him on Twitter.
I think. He's also got a few people at EA that he's talked to here and there, and pretty much everything he's reported on over the last couple of years have all been true. They've either been confirmed by EA or other people that are involved in the game, and if he doesn't know something, he's always been the first to say, I'm not 100% sure, I don't know about this specific feature or this specific thing for the game, so he won't.
And I'm sorry for pausing. That is one thing that I really respect from him, because a lot of times you see like people that leak stuff, even if they don't know if it's 100%, they would still leak it. Or even if they don't even know, they would still say something, and then when it comes out it's not right, then they try to backtrack it and be like, well, such and such said this. It's like, no, if you don't know or you're not 100% sure, I mean, well, it's a leak, so you're never 100% sure. But if you're not like, if you don't have that feeling like, all right, maybe he's telling the truth, whoever's getting this information, maybe they're telling the truth, you shouldn't put it out, in my opinion. But hey, that's just me. That's how I personally feel.
won't speak on things he doesn't know, and everything that he has spoken on has been true. So when he speaks, people know that it's reliable information. And what he said this week, he said, number one, the game is pretty much finished, in that at this point they're kind of just doing those final tweaks and getting like the player likeness in the game, which does make sense. We're about 3 months from release, and kind of the same thing with Madden. Usually when you're about 3 months out from release, the game is done. All of the major lifting is done. All of the major
you just making sure,
like,
you know,
is playable
the little
right now. They could put the game out right now,
the
but
package.
it wouldn't be 100%. There would be more bugs in it. There would be some things that are not 100% complete, like player names and little bells and whistles type things. But the game as a whole is done when it's 3 months out. And again, if we were to get a beta for this game like we do for Madden, I don't really think we will, because it's the first time this game's returning, so I don't think they want to show it early in a beta. I think they want to just drop it and have everybody play it at the same time when it's actually released. But let's say they were doing
I actually like that, in my
opinion. The beta
opinion.
for this game would likely be next month, for example, 2 months before the game comes out. So in order for it to be playable and in a beta stage, that means the game has to be done, which it is. So that is, you know, a very reliable thing for Matt Brown to say, because that's just typical of games in general. He said basically they're just working on finishing up player likeness and doing some of, you know, the other assets and some of the sounds and things like that. The smaller things that add a lot to the game, but in terms of like features and game modes and gameplay stuff, you know, most of that stuff is pretty much about what it's going to be for the first release of this game. Now, Matt Brown also spoke on some of the features in the game, and one of the main things he talked about was the transfer portal, and he got some new information about this, and we know this is going to be one of the biggest factors for the game modes like Dynasty Mode and Road to Glory, because transferring is such a big deal in real life now. And he said that earlier on in the development cycle for this game, players were only coded to transfer one time, but the NCAA passed a rule recently that does allow athletes to transfer multiple times without actually having to sit out. So now players in Dynasty Mode will be able to actually transfer more than once. So they're kind of fixing that part of the game. I don't know if that's 100% done yet, or if they're still working on it as we speak, but it's
gonna be a lot of pissed people.
Comes out, and basically
a lot of upset people. Excuse my French.
Players will be able to transfer around. If you want to go to a different school each year, you can do that, because players in real life can do that now. However, they did say that they are trying to find the right balance for this to not make it overwhelming for
you got to have balance when it comes to that.
Players transferring 4 times, so there may be somewhat of a limit there. They're trying to find the right balance to make it both realistic but fun, because I think for some players that maybe want to play more casually, they don't want to bring in star players and have them all transferring out very consistently, maybe, or just jumping around so much. So there might be some type of a limit in place, maybe 3 times or something like that. He didn't say for sure what it would be, but he did say that they're trying to work a balance to make it both fun and realistic.
I'd say about 3 or 2 in my opinion.
Road to Glory, it was only spoke about Dynasty Mode specifically, but I'm sure this is going to also be the same for Road to Glory, where you are in your career mode, and if you want to change schools as your player each year just to make it more fun and interesting, you should be able to do that if they're doing it for Dynasty Mode, but they didn't speak on that specifically. Another thing he said was that another important little tidbit that he dropped is he said EA is working on the game logic to make sure that the future seasons in your Dynasty Mode will actually play out in a realistic manner, because if you remember in some of the older NCAA games, and this even holds true for Madden games to this day, a lot of times when you're getting into these Dynasty Modes or franchise modes, it's not always the most realistic in terms of how the simulation aspects go for other teams and players, especially
I did not know it was like that in the college football games too.
Franchise mode. And a problem that old NCAA games had was sometimes these schools that, you know, would almost never become a dynasty in real life, sometimes they would in NCAA, and I think one of the examples would be like, you know, Army or Navy or something like that. How often do those teams become like powerhouse?
I think what was it? Georgia Tech. I don't know why, but when I used to play, like, I didn't play too many of the modes. I always used to like play regular mode, but when I did play like the dynasty modes and stuff, Georgia Tech will always be like in the top 5 of like the teams, and all they did was run the ball. They was probably the most frustrating team I've ever played against in any sports video game was Georgia Tech. They never threw the ball. They line up in that little formation. Y'all know, hey, if you guys know, you know. And they just run the ball. And they somehow get first downs after first downs after first downs. And then you stop them one time. And then they go right back. It's like, throw the damn plays.
You know, it doesn't really happen.
You can't even
often
have
or at
cornerbacks
all
playing that
because
game.
those
Let them sit
institutions
out.
really aren't set up in a way for that to happen consistently. But in NCAA, a lot of times that would happen, and so they're trying to make it more realistic in terms of not letting those types of schools become powerhouses or dynasties as you sim into the future. Because in real life, you would likely never see that. Maybe they have a good season or two here or there, but it's not something that's going to happen all the time. So they're trying to make sure that
Let's
that
be
stuff
real,
in
you
place,
wouldn't
which is
hear
really
about it until
important
the Navy
because
versus
that's an
Army
area that
game.
Madden lacks. We know they've done a lot of work on this game, and we fully expect it to be better than Madden. And it's little things like this that's going to make it better. More realism, more depth, more immersion, and things like that. Now, another interesting thing that's been happening lately, as some of you might have seen, is that these EA Sports College Football 25 posters have been going up around college towns more and more each day. We've seen them pop up at Michigan, at Florida, at Ohio State, at Alabama. I mean, they're popping up everywhere. Florida State. And
Why
basically,
haven't I
it's
seen
like
none of
old
this on my
school
timeline?
guerrilla marketing where they're putting up these posters advertising the
Nah,
game.
that's
and
cool.
even
Ain't
putting
gonna lie.
player names on some of these posters, letting you know
Oh,
who
damn.
exactly is in the game from these
Nah,
schools. Now,
that
obviously,
is
they're not
fire
listing every
marketing.
name, but they're listing some of the bigger names and some of the people that have already opted in. So it's kind of just a cool thing. And a lot of these posters, even around campus, some of them have been getting torn down by students of the school because they're going and like putting them in their dorm rooms and stuff, because this is kind of a unique time. We don't really see video games a lot of times advertised.
See, this is why we can't have nice
they're
things,
making a big
guys.
splash with this game coming back for the first time in 10 years.
I understand
They're
y'all
really
want the
trying
posters,
to
but
just go all out
I'm
with
pretty
the
sure they're
marketing
gonna
and
have
the
some
hype
posters
for this game.
online
But an interesting thing about
that you
all
can
these
purchase.
posters that are going up, they're all in a similar type of formula here. And what's interesting, for example, we'll pull up the Michigan one right here, the defending champs, and you'll see that there's like
cool.
5 different posters, but 2 of them have player names on them. So you have the first one here that says I'm in the game and that has like 4 players, and then the third poster has more names on it. But what's interesting is if you go and look at these, they're all over Twitter. You know, different EA Sports College Football accounts are posting them. But the first picture that has the 4 names in them, I've heard a lot of people speculating about what this means, because that first poster, the 4 names that are in that are the bigger name guys at the school, like the guys that are either like Heisman candidates or, you know, projected to be top picks or just top players from that school, whereas the names that are in the third poster are not as big of names. And so some people are trying to say, well, maybe that first poster, those 4 names that are in the first poster for each school, maybe that's either their X Factor or superstar players, which we don't know if that feature is going to be in this game, but I personally am assuming it will be because it's such a big deal for Madden.
Yeah,
I know
probably.
a lot of people don't like it. You know, some people love it, some people hate it, but because it's
I
a
mean,
Madden,
I personally,
I'm assuming they might do that same thing for NCAA.
I don't have no problem
but
with
if
it,
they
really.
don't do it that way, they might just do the old system where they're just impact players. But a lot of people believe that the names that are listed in the first poster are going to be those type of players for the school. Either they're going to have some type of ability or they're just going to be labeled as impact players.
It would make
star other
sense
than, like, the old
to
days. So,
do
for
it that
example,
way, though, to be
Michigan,
honest with
it's
you.
hard to read this, but for example, you got Donovan Edwards and you got Will Johnson. Those are 2 of the bigger players from that school. Obviously, those would be 2 impact players or 2 X Factor players for that school. So if you see these posters popping up on Twitter and you want to know who are going to be like the highest rated,
Bruh, I've not seen these on none of my timelines. What is happening?
Because that's probably what it means. Now, if you want to know more about some of the official
Nah, that poster was so cool, but why I have not seen that on none of my timeline. I didn't even know it was a thing. Those are really cool. But like he said about the X Factor, it would make sense with the 4 names, kind of like how Madden already has it, where they have the teams, they have every team, and then you have a select few X Factors. I think with maybe college football, they might just limit it, maybe like 3 or 4 for each team instead of it being like, what is Madden? Madden has, what is it? They have the offense and then the defense. I think college football might just have it like as one instead of the separation. You know what I mean? For the casual people. I think they might have it like that. But I love seeing more news revealed. I cannot wait. Next month is right around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. This is crazy. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this reaction. Love you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.